Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new, my name is Todd Bryson. I'm an Akashic Records practitioner. I offer a lot of different services around opening and reading the Akashic Records. Please feel free to contact me if any of those things interest you. I tend to get an influx of new subscribers around crop circle season, so welcome you guys. I wrote an article a few days ago called The Art of Stillness, and that is available in the description, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. I also want to talk about some upgrades in the third eye I've had recently, and the process of stilling the mind, stilling the body was something that eluded me for a decade. Um, you know, if you were to ask me what was the health of my third eye, I would have told you that the third eye is broken, completely busted, not working. But on the other side of that, I know now that that was absolutely not the case. What was broken was my perception on what I could do with that tool. What was lacking was my ability to focus my intent to be able to use the third eye to navigate into the multidimensional realities. So in my situation, I found the right teacher who instilled a process in me that I was responsive to, and then, the rest is history. When I'm going into past lives to retrieve spiritual gifts for people or to let them know how they've done it before and, the what, where, when, and why, almost every time in an old energy, there is a process involved in using the spiritual gifts that is not um, being considered in the now. And in a new energy, you may not have to make that process so elaborate, but I think it's worth noting that almost always that the processes are there, the rituals are there. When I go into a past life and I see you as a channeler in the moment of channeling or in the preparation stages for that channeling, there's always a process. And that process is meant to find the stillness that allows the inner voice to speak up and to be heard, and everything coming through to be retained and made linear and used to manifest. So in my situation, I go through a very slow, deliberate process of stilling all of the pieces and parts of me that are behind the scenes chatting and, doing their job that they're meant to do. A lot of you feel right now, and I do, unless I go through certain processes, it's kind of like you are trying to place an order with the universe, you're trying to communicate with the universe, you're trying to hear what's on the menu for you, what your potential is, and all of that. You're placing an order. On the other side, you've got somebody else who's chatting in your ear while you're trying to place that order, and I think we've all been in that situation before. We go to the drive-through, we've got people in the car with us, and the person's talking in the speaker, and then everyone else is telling us what they want. It leaves you very little room to absorb and make sense of any of it. So you just kind of feel like you're scattered. You get your order and it's messed up. Meals missing completely, and it's just kind of chaos. What the difference is the ability to step up to place an order with the universe and telling everything in that moment that would cause chatter to shh. Listen to what is being said in this moment and then go about your business. So when I'm opening the Akashic Records for people, I am going through my system thoroughly, identifying what's functioning and what's not, what needs a little bit more intention and what doesn't, what's a little bit more talkative and what isn't. You will see me tapping different energy centers, getting their attention. Wake up, we're doing work right now. You will hear me do many sacred ohms and a lot of heavy breathing, and that is all in an effort to find that flow state where the chatter stops. And that way, when I do open the Akashic Records, I can do so without the ego interrupting me. I can do so without the mind interrupting me. I can do so without the body taking me out of it. All of the information that comes through is as clean as possible without going through the filters that are rooted in linearity that would disturb or disrupt what is coming through. So if you're like me, you struggle to still the mind, you struggle to meditate for longer than a few minutes without being distracted by, some earthly obligation. Find a process that works for you. Make the moment you're using that process important. Communicate from the heart what your intentions are in the moment, and allow yourself the opportunity to quiet everything down so that you can hear the voice of spirit come through you. It's going to be an intuitive impression. It's going to be a quantum download that you get that you can either translate or you can't. If you can't translate it, maybe the ego is distorting it. If you can't translate it, maybe the mind is too busy. Do yourself a favor. Make your meditations important. Make sure that when you are doing it, that you still all aspects of you from disturbing. Okay, put them on do not disturb, and place your order clearly without any delusion or disruption. I know this might be difficult for those of you that are tuned into consciousness more so than others, but you should know that things are going as planned in that regard as well. The collective right now has separated itself into two distinguishable sides, and those sides are kind of getting to know each other, but what's going to happen is that they're going to find a common enemy. And I don't even like judging it that way, but that's the process. These aspects are going to find that there are agitators behind the scenes poking and prodding as a means to acquire their resources or to maintain the separation. Unity consciousness doesn't mean that everybody's in agreement. Unity consciousness simply means that we are mature enough and have unlocked enough of our DNA to have a peaceful discussion, understanding that there are differences that are important for each figure to have. When I'm communicating with extraterrestrials, there is some idea by, even old souls that there's uniformity in beliefs, that everybody has the same perspective and awareness and identifies as the same thing, but that's, very, very far from the truth. I can communicate with one Pleiadian and hear their perspective and then speak with another one and hear a completely different story. The future of humanity is not one that doesn't have disagreements, but it is one that is mature enough to see the differences in others and respect and honor those differences, knowing that that respect is being returned to you. So I also want to talk about some upgrades in my third eye that have been taking place for the past few weeks. It really started about a week before the solstice. I started to do more sensory exercises with my guides. So what it is right now, I'm experiencing more, and it sounds strange to say this, but particle effects. So when I am going into a past life, there's more that I can hold in my awareness, and that number is increasing all the time. So how do I do this? So I'm going into a quantum state with my guides. They are asking me to reach my hand out, and then I am touching nothing, but as my hand descends, there's like particles falling and opening, and it started out with like a few blocky chunks, and now it's like every time I do that, it's like pouring sand out of a cup. So, when you are able to access the quantum state in that way, people tend to think that the work is done, the training is done, we've reached the pinnacle, and there's nothing else that we can get. Not in my case. I am constantly in school. I am constantly training with different guides all the time to, gain just that much more, that much more, that much more. And I'll tell you that the ascension process and the personal growth and development is never, ever finished. So if you're sitting right now unable to do these things, take a step back and examine your processes. Are you making the work important? Are you collaborating with your team of guides and letting them know what the expectations are? Are you showing up to do the work with the discipline that you need, the tools that you need? Or are you the kid that's showing up to class without the pencils in the backpack, which I have been on more than one occasion. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, you guys. If you have any questions about readings or any other area that I've got a foot in, feel free to contact me, and I will see you very soon. Thank you very much.